Today, we look at a profound criminal justice crisis that's unfolding in the United Kingdom, a case that has triggered a national firestorm, forced an extraordinary apology from the police, and raised challenging questions about race, religion, and the law. A 23-year-old Sikh man has just been handed the most severe mandatory punishment available under British law. Vickrum Digwa has been sentenced to life imprisonment with a strict minimum term of 21 years behind bars for the brutal murder of an 18-year-old university student, Henry Nowak. So let's look at what exactly happened in this horrific case. On the 3rd of December 2025, Henry Nowak, a promising first-year accounting and finance student at the University of Southampton, was walking home after a night out with his football team. He crossed paths with Vickrum Digwa. For reasons that the court has now firmly ruled were unprovoked, Digwa attacked the unarmed teenager, stabbing and cutting him 5 times. Imagine. One of those blows inflicted a deep, fatal wound to the chest with a massive 21-centimeter dagger. But the horror viewers did not stop there. Instead of calling for an ambulance, Digwa actually stood over the bleeding teenager and he filmed him on his smartphone. He captured intrusive and humiliating close-ups of his face as he lay there dying. Soon after, Digwa's mother Kiran Kaur arrived at the scene. She took the murder weapon, and hid it back at the family home, an action that has since led to her own criminal conviction for assisting an offender. The physical evidence against Digwa is now overwhelming, but it is actually newly released police body cam footage that has sparked a massive public storm across the UK. When Hampshire police officers arrived at the scene, Digwa immediately fabricated a wicked lie to save himself. He claimed that he was the actual victim of a racist assault, telling officers that a drunk Nowak had shouted a racial slur, punched him, and forcibly pulled off his turban.
Has anyone been hurt other than him?
Yeah, me. He's grabbed my brother, he's took my turban off, started grabbing my head.
Are you injured?
Yeah, I've got swollen eye, little bruises.
Alright, just step back a little bit for me.
Believing the killer's narrative, the responding police officers completely turned on the victim. The body cam footage shows a very harrowing scene. Henry Nowak can be seen lying down on the gravel, bleeding internally. He's heard pleading with the officers 9 separate times, gasping for air, saying, "I've been stabbed and I can't breathe." Instead of giving him immediate medical attention, an officer directly dismisses his cries, saying, "Don't think you have, mate."
What's happened to you, alright? You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? Don't think you have, mate.
Acting on the false allegations of a racial slur, the officers actually treated the dying teenager as a hostile suspect. They'd seen dragging him across the ground, forcing his arms behind his back, and locking him in handcuffs under arrest.
Hand?
I can't breathe.
Put the hand in the cuff, mate.
This is like numerous times this has happened to us. We've been walking, we parked there.
Minutes later, Nowak collapsed. He lost consciousness and he died right there on the street. The release of this footage has now triggered a global wave of comparison. Remember to the 2020 case of George Floyd in the United States of America. Commentators are pointing out the chilling irony of a dying teenager gasping the words, "I can't breathe," arguing that the British police were so deeply paralyzed by the fear of being labeled racist that they completely ignored the physical reality of a murder victim dying right in front of them. Even tech billionaire Elon Musk has weighed in on this publicly. He's offered to fund a private legal prosecution over how the police have handled the situation. In fact, in his latest post, he's written this. He says, "The West has created an utterly evil state religion where an accusation of racism is the gravest offense that can be committed, even worse than rape or murder. So if police show up at a crime scene and a British boy is bleeding out and an immigrant says that the British boy is racist, the cops will cuff the dying British boy." The institutional fallout in Westminster has been swift and severe. UK Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood delivered an official statement to the House of Commons heavily condemning Digwa's wicked lie and promising that the state will be demanding full answers. Simultaneously, there are several political parties and leaders like Reformed UK's Nigel Farage who are channeling widespread public anger. They're demanding a total and complete reform of how police prioritize allegations. Farage stated that a mere accusation of a racial slur was catastrophically treated with more urgency than an active, literal act of murder.
That we're living in a two-tier culture in this country where the rights and privileges of white people matter less than those of ethnic minorities.
This case has also forced open an incredibly sensitive national debate surrounding the kirpan, which is the ceremonial blade carried by initiated Sikhs. Under the UK knife laws, practicing Sikhs are granted a specific religious exemption to carry this bladed article in public. During the trial, however, Digwa actually tried to use this exemption as a shield, arguing that he was carrying the knife for religious reasons. However, the prosecution completely shattered this defense. They proved that Digwa was already wearing the traditional legal kirpan under his shirt to fulfill his religious vows. The massive 21-centimeter dagger that he used to murder Henry was an entirely separate weapon. The prosecution showed that Digwa was simply a man who was obsessed with weapons. He, as per reports, slept with them. He searched for them constantly on his phone. Now the Police and Crime Commissioner for Hampshire is leading formal calls to Prime Minister Keir Starmer to review and hopefully tighten some of these knife exemption rules to prevent weapon-obsessed individuals from exploiting faith loopholes. But, viewers, this is where it gets truly tragic. Now, despite the horrific details and the rising social tensions, Henry Nowak's family, who've lost their son, has shown extraordinary grace and composure. Speaking outside the court, Henry's father, Mark Nowak, did not hold back his criticism of the police. He stated that his son did not die with dignity and that his treatment on the streets was completely inhumane and degrading. But the family has explicitly issued a powerful message pleading for public calm. They've stated this very clearly. We do not want his death to be used to create further division, hatred, or tension. This is not a case about Sikhism. This is not a case about racism. And this is just, please focus on this. This is a case about murder.
Today, Henry was believed. The truth has been recognised. Today, justice, in the eyes of the law, has been served.
So as the Independent Office for Police Conduct now continue their formal investigation into the officer's actions on that fateful night, the UK stands at a turning point, forced to re-examine the balance between political correctness, religious exemptions, and the primary duty of the state, which is to protect human life. Thank you for watching.